All right, welcome back to Targeted. Today in World War Studio, I have brought in a local legend. He's a veteran. He served in the Air Force Security Forces. Then he went out to be a contractor in Blackwater. His book is amazing. It's called Guns, Girls, and Greed. Intelligence. What do you know about what the government takes in, considering you're a finance expert, you're looking at a government that now has access to more information than they ever have. How much of that information do you think the government is actually using to track what you do and your potential threat level in the United States?
The government is tracking a lot less than Amazon is. This is the hard part, right? So I did SIGINT, and they'd be like, "Oh, you can listen to phones," and I was like, "Well, you can there's walkie-talkies out there too, guys." You have to know what you're looking for, right? Go downtown during a baseball game and look at how many people have phones up to their ears. You would have to have somebody literally listening to the other side of that phone call to figure out if they're doing something bad. So you got to take that huge data set and you got to narrow it down into like 5 to 10 people to be able to say, these are the ones that I want to look at. I would have said 3 years ago, I'm not terribly worried about it. But with the ability of machine learning, which is turning into AI, and as fast as that's being able to process stuff, there is so much data, and there is so like your phone. We used to do sensitive site exploitation.
Yeah,
the stuff you pull off of people's computers and phones, like that you think you deleted.
Yeah,
it is still there. And if it's still there on your phone, then it went through a pipe, and that pipe has the ability to have somebody tap into it and say, I want to look for this stuff. So it's gonna, as companies sell this technology to the government, they can pretty much track you down wherever they want, whenever they want. And they'll probably know what you're buying at the supermarket. Like, it's crazy.
That's crazy. All right. So you used to take in devices and then look at them.
Yeah.
SSI is what we're talking about. Did you have a team that would go through that? And do you think that process is a lot more smooth because technology increases?
Oh, it's way more smooth now. So we had a team. Let me start at the beginning. If somebody says, I was in special forces, and then later says, I supported X, that means that they weren't. So I'm going to say that because we supported special forces. So those guys would go out there, they kick in a door, they bring in a computer, a phone, whatever. We would hack those things. And then we would go through and say, it looks like this guy's calling this guy a lot. And I think we took down the number 5 or 6 guy in Baghdad at the time.
Yeah.
And then, you send that to somebody that builds a target package and says, maybe we should go find this guy, right? Because if you find that one phone, then that allows you to find the next phone and the next phone and the next phone. So we did that, but it was pretty arduous.
Yeah.
So you actually have 2 competing priorities right now. You have privacy, and there's a lot of companies that are getting paid a lot of money just for privacy. And on the other side, it's like exploitation. Most of your phones are going to be so easy to exploit. Just so easy, especially with like face technology, to open it up. Once you open up that phone, it's over. I tell everybody, if you don't want somebody looking through everything that you've ever sent your buddies on text, throw your phone into the ocean. Like, at least they couldn't get it off the phone, but it's still hanging out somewhere.
Yeah, it's still hanging out in the pipe somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the advice of throwing your phone into an ocean, because that will get rid of all of the things that are on a device forever.
Yeah.
That salt water definitely destroys everything. Ask me how I know. But it also, when I'm out fishing, I lose a lot of guns that way too. So I've lost phones and guns to salt water.
Yeah. Well, they show up on the shores every once in a while and they're just tossing back in.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. All right. So let's go life advice. You can go back 10, 15 years and talk to yourself, knowing what you know now. What are 3 things that you would tell yourself that would impact your life today?
The first one is that you don't have to blaze a new trail. This is the good part about the vet community is there's a lot of veterans willing to help a lot of other veterans. somebody comes up and they say, hey, can I get you to help me move this box? You're probably going to say yes. The problem with the veteran community is nobody wants to actually ask. So if I was going to talk to myself, I would say, first and foremost, there's a lot of people that are a lot smarter than you. Listen to what they have to say and take good advice. It's the only reason why I went Intel when I went into the Army. I wanted to fly helicopters, and they were like, it's a 7.5-year contract. I was like, I don't want to fly that bad. So I went Intel because my buddy was like, go Intel. I had another buddy that was like, when you get out, you should go to Tufts University or Harvard, or I got into like U Chicago, all these. I didn't know there were snooty schools out there, right?
Yeah.
So I took that good advice, and once you start taking enough good advice, you can start actually giving it to people. So I wish, first and foremost, listen to people, ask advice, and then freaking take it. Like that last step. Please, God, do that.
Yeah. Shoot, move, communicate.
Yeah,
in real life, right there. I love it.
And then get your war stories out of the way early. I watched so many people, Blackwater military, that were just chasing the dragon, and they wanted to just keep going back and go back. We got guys in Blackwater that I worked with that are still contracting. It's insane. So I actually did this one right. I mean, it's in the book, but I got fired by Blackwater, which nobody really gets fired by Blackwater, but they say, go take 6 weeks off and we'll bring you back. So like, get that stuff out of the way when you're young, because nobody has ever been on their deathbed and been like, man, I totally wish I would have argued with my aunt over politics a little more. Or, oh, I wish I would have made $10 extra when I was, no, like, go have your adventure so that you can convey that to other people. And the best advice I didn't take is, before writing the book, I asked, like, what should I do to write a book? And the guy's like, just start writing. He's a college professor.
Yeah.
So the third thing is just start writing. And it doesn't matter if you publish a book. It doesn't matter if you you get it turned into a movie. What matters is that when your kids get older, and I see this at gun shows, when I sell books, I see this at like military conferences, people always come up to me and say, I wish I knew what my dad did. I wish I knew what my grandfather did. If you don't write that down, like when my grandfather died, a World War II guy, like, he just didn't remember most of it. Write stuff down so that your family can have it. So they can say, oh, at least I know he was here. He did this job. And then they can research it from there if you don't want to get into like great detail. But leave that legacy. It's some kind of format. I don't know. Maybe you can just go on TikTok and do it now. But
yeah,
like, at least let your kids. I can't tell you how many times. Like, it breaks my heart. My grandfather just died three months ago, and he was in, no, not mine, but the story that you always get, like, he was in Vietnam, and but we don't have any idea what he did, where he was. It's like, that sucks.
Yeah, that's powerful, bro. I mean, I get that a lot. People show me insignia or a uniform, and I'm like, all right, well, this guy, yeah, it looks like a bombardier aviation badge. So it looks like he was traveling and dropping bombs out of one of these aircraft, probably.
Yeah.
And then I'll list out the ones that he would have been involved in. And they're like, oh, that's so much information. How do you know that? Yeah, heraldry. The military has symbols and badges, and they all mean something. And, your grandpa was probably an awesome dude. I wish I could have met him, and I'm sorry for your loss, but yeah, I got a lot of that. And the other ones I get are, I'm an advocate for podcasting. If you don't want to write a book, get on a podcast and then have that story conversation so that it lives forever. You don't have to write a book, but it works better if you do, because if you wrote the book, you're going to go through the story in great detail. You're going to pull out the lessons, and you're going to be able to give somebody something other than a story. So writing a book that's how you should start it. That's how you should start the conversation.
Yeah, but who cares if it gets published?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, my grandfather, he wrote his story about his Purple Heart that he never talked to anyone about. He probably wrote it for his therapist, but it was on his computer, and guess who got the SSI after he died?
Yeah.
Me. Yeah, so I pulled it all in, and I'm like, wow, now I have a story of like how he was in special forces. He was doing MACV riverboat operations. He was training the Vietnamese how to do river operations, and the North Vietnamese had tripped the water, and the boat in front of him, which is his buddy's training, boat, blew up, and he blew his buddy in half. And he remembers dragging his friend, half of his friend that he could find, out of the water. And he never, ever told us that story, but he wrote it down. I mean, it hits you different whenever you're like, man, that's why he was the way he was. That's why he never got on the boat again.
Have you noticed? Every generation of veteran thinks that they have it better than the ones before them, and the ones after them had it way better than anybody. Because I look at Vietnam, and I'm like, dude, those guys, holy crap. Right? And then you look at World War II, and you're like, holy crap.
But even World War I was like trench warfare, and people died, and they just had to deal with, Derek the dead guy for 5 freaking weeks until they got a break to pull him out of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's legit
That's
hell.
crazy.
And so they're like the greatest generation. Yeah. It's absolutely nuts to me, but
everybody's like, that next generation is so weak and so
always,
they're not going to be able to. And it's like, we will always figure it out, guys.
Especially in America. There's too many guns in this country for us to ever be weak.
That is true.
I just want to put that out there. I get pulled on the news all the time and to talk about 2A stuff. And, the military is now letting their members bring, not all of them, but bring their weapons onto the base so that they can go shoot during, lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that. They can go hunting maybe after. Couldn't do that in a lot of places. And the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is saying, hey, you can do this. So the news is like, what do you think? I'm like, well, if that dude is like on the suicide watch, or if he's investigating for a crime, or if there's any stuff, that dude ain't bringing a weapon on base. I'll tell you that much right now. That's not how it works. But what's interesting to me is I'm an advocate for those who can protect the country and themselves. I'm not an advocate for just anyone to get a gun. I don't want terrorists to be able to get guns in the United States. I don't like that.
So I've sold books at gun shows, and it is pure Americana.
Right?
Like it is.
I love it.
And I always get the same questions. Like, you were in Blackwater. What were you running on your weapon? And I'm a very plain Jane guy. Like, all day long, I got a Glock 35. It's 40 cal. It's spectacular. I love it. Glocks, the Beretta's always jammed up on me when I was in Iraq.
Yeah.
So Glock's never jammed up. I'm a Glock guy until I die. And then, what do you put on your M4? And I'm like, nothing. And here's what I'll tell you, is because all these guys come in and they put gear on. You got their $1,800 EO Tech, and you got like your little laser on the side, and you got your flashlight on the front. If you train with that, use it.
Yeah.
If you don't train with it and you think it looks awesome,
it's extra weight.
Stop doing it. Yeah. Well, it pulls off how much your weapon jumps, right? So if it's heavier on the front and you're used to your weapon jumping X amount, and then it moves less, like, it's not the first shot. Yeah. It's the second, it's the third, it's the fourth. So that's my best gun advice. I don't care what you use. You could have the sexiest setup on the planet. Go train with it before you go out there and you show it off to people, because people will come to like the table and be like, what do you think about this? And I was like, I think you just spent, and the Blackwater guy did this, I think you just spent like $3,000 on something you're going to hate.
You got to train like you fight.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And yeah, if you're going to put all these new things on there every day, how are you training?
Yeah.
How are you capable? Because I mean, it's a perishable skill, bro. If you're not going to shoot, and then you go think you're going to shoot like you shot, hey, how it works, man. It's one of those things you got to do all the time.
Yeah, you're suppressed. Everybody's trying to buy suppressors. That's a big thing at the gun show. I'm like, those things are heavy on the front, guys. I'm just letting you know, like, it's not going to jump as much, and it's quieter, but like, you have to actually train with these things.
Yeah, man. All right. So how do you train now? Are you still involved?
I go out shooting. I enjoy shooting, but I'm not the guy that's like putting on all the kit and running out there. One, it's too hot.
Especially here.
Yeah, I know. It's not that fun. All right. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that's like driving my kids to the park and be like, oh, I think I better put on my gear and have all my Molly. Like, it's not realistic. So I go out shooting. I mean, I'm very plain Jane. I like a Seymour sight, mostly because you can use your rear and your front aperture with it. So if the Seymour goes down, I got a secondary right there. But just go out and plink. Like, I mean, I grew up shooting at old beat up refrigerators out in the desert, and you put a beer bottle in front of it and you break it and be like, yes,
Did it.
so it's a little bit, a little bit up from that, but it is a perishable skill. And I will say I'm left eye dominant, but I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just forget. I'm like, I was like,
so whenever you shoot okay, so this is a preference question. So I've recently started to turn my head. I never used to do that. I used to just look bolt on. But now I'm starting to turn my head, and I'm noticing a little bit faster engagement with the target. How do you engage whenever you're shooting?
so if you turn your head, what happens is that the cones in your eyeball actually can find what you're looking at faster. So that's why you got that acquisition quicker. I mean, I turn my head, but I have to close my left eye, or else it's dominant.
You shoot like
So,
a bro.
Yeah. That's the first thing. I think before we went into Iraq, we were talking like the recon Marines, and they're like, don't look at what you're shooting at, especially in the dark. Look next to it, and then it'll come into focus. And the first time I did that with something, I was like, holy crap, that works. So it makes a ton of sense.
In the dark, I don't know, man. So I mean, I was not a day walker during my last deployment. If I could stay up, I would. When we were doing a lot more stuff at night than we were during the day, obviously. But yeah, I never had to go engage on a target. Every time I'd fly into Badman land, we'd go in, no lights, and I didn't have lights or anything on my primary or my secondary, and I was hoping to God I didn't have to use it.
Yeah.
I think because we're flying in the middle of nowhere, I don't know where I'm going to go if I have to engage with anybody, and I hope that there's somebody there to pick me up, But I never did any like night training at the range ever. We always did day training. We always did like different scenarios, but like night, that's a good tip, man. I never even would have thought about that. Silhouettes are real quick too, because your mind's going to be like, what is that?
Yeah. I mean, even if you're just walking, it's like, it's a good, like, it's crazy how much focus you're like, and not looking at it. And yet you're sitting there and you're like, holy crap. Like I could focus that silhouette pretty hard.
I had somebody on the show, his name is Sean Kanan, and he was like the Karate Kid 3 bad boy, right? Your karate is weak, that guy. He was on Bold and Beautiful, Young and Restless. He's done a lot of acting. And he says, one of his tips is, if you want to accomplish something, don't focus on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like shooting,
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. Like I'm always focused on the front sight, now both sides, there's little tricks to where your focus is where you're going to go. But whenever you get that advice, like you say, whenever you get somebody that tells you something that they know, take the advice.
Life really is that simple.
Why is this hard? Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. Like you see somebody successful and you say, hey, mister, how would I do this? And if they give you advice, do that.
Success really leaves clues.
Yeah.
And you can ask questions afterwards, normally, if you follow the advice. It's a super life hack. I'm glad we uncovered that on the show. And now I'm going to I'm not going to ever record any other episodes because I'm trying to do that.
That's it.
That is the secret to life. You're welcome. All right. So how can people find you and your book?
Yeah. Track down the book on Amazon. Like I said, Jay Moore read the audio. It gets rave reviews because he knows how to hit the punchlines in the joke. Like he was reading it and then he called me up and be like, oh my God, dude, I'm at the part where your buddy lifts his shorts up and his balls hang out and goes, did I step in gum? And he's like, dude,
it's a Texas belt buckle, baby.
Yeah. He's like, dude, this is the weirdest thing. There's the Kindle, there's the audio, there's the hardcover, there's the soft cover. You can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram primarily right now. It's at Blackwater Dude, the number 1. So if you want a signed copy, we can make that happen. I mean, I'm gonna give you one.
I'm gonna take it too, man. Yeah. I already have it in the studio. It's gonna stay here. I'm gonna read it.
It is literally the first sentence is just fuck. And the second sentence is, I think I shit my pants. Like to what you were talking about, like the freeze thing, like, and I go through what it feels like to actually shoot at a car that's coming at you. And you're like, is that a bomb? Is it not a bomb? Like, yeah. So
what's going on here?
It starts pretty quick.
Yeah. That's, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So is there anything that we missed? Anything else you want to talk about? What's your hidden secret for, putting together the perfect steak? Anything you want to share.
Salt and pepper. 30 minutes before, just put some salt and pepper on that steak. Pull some juices out. I think I don't know. My wife is like, go make steaks, and I go out and do it. So
How long have you been married?
we got married in 2011. So yeah, 15 years.
15 years.
About 15 years.
All right. How do you stay married for 15 years? It's your number one go-to advice.
Oh, you just don't argue with your wife. It really is like people are looking for life hacks. Don't argue with your wife. It's much easier that way. I remember when we first got married, I had this theory that when guys get married, they look over at their wife and they're like, you know who I was before we got married. So I'm still going to be that guy. I'm going to play video games. I'm going to go out drinking. I'm going to do all the crazy stuff. And then the female goes, well, I'm married now. So now I need to change and I need to go into kind of wife mode. So on one hand, the wife expects the husband to change. And the husband looks over at the wife and is like, well, she's changing, but it's kind of cool. Like she's making me sandwiches. So I'll take that. And that first year of marriage is like, fighting over a spatula and stuff. Like it's probably not worth it, but no, if you genuinely enjoy and love the person that you're with, like you'll figure it out. And I'm so lucky. My kids are somehow intelligent. They're, they're gangly, they're adorable. So
yeah. I'm a pick your battles kind of guy too. I'm not going to fight about that. And I used to say that, nah, I'm not going to fight about that. And they're like, "Oh, now you want to fight?" No, I just said I wasn't going to. That's what I said.
Yeah, you can't say you're not going to fight about it. Oh no, I get that. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Next. All right, brother. Well, I'm going to close out the show. Thanks again for coming. I got something to give to you. This is my red beard patch. I'm sure you have a patch collection somewhere.
Oh yeah.
That one's PVC, so if you lose it, it'll never ever fade.
It'll never disintegrate into the earth.
It will always be there, wherever you left it.
That's awesome. Thank you.
It's a remake of Blackbeard's flag. I gave one to Mike Tyson. I gave it to all the celebrities and all the people who have great successes with their books. The premise of the whole flag is that you can't give up. You just don't give up. Ever give up. And that is the spirit of warriors. That is the spirit that I feel with you in the conversation. So I have to give you the patch, man, or to just remind you that you're one of those guys, bro. You never gave up, and I'm glad to have you in the studio because of it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, man. I love hearing veteran success stories. So if you have some of those and you want to reach out, just tell me, because like there's nothing better with all the stuff you hear in the veteran community when somebody's like, hey, I've done this. It's like, that's freaking awesome. So you are one of them, and I'm happy to be on here with you.
Yeah, man, this is great. All right, for everyone else, we are a top 1% channel on YouTube because of people like you hitting the share button and saying, hey, this is cool. I'm not sure about the name Atlas, though. Question me. Question us. We're here for you all the time. We're going to keep doing what we do, bringing you guests like this. If you like the show, supporting us is a just forward away from doing that. So until next time, aim for excellence and stay on target. I'm Atlas Aultman.
Stay with us as we stay on target with another awesome episode coming up next. We'll see you there. And subscribe to Targeted Now. As an ambassador to buckedup.com, I get to give you our special discount. That's Atlas25 when you go to buckedup.com to get that special discount. Only for our listeners, Atlas25. Go to buckedup.com now. Entrepreneurs, you're wasting money. Are you paying for TV, radio, maybe even newspapers? I gotta tell you, that's all dead. What's new? Well, I'm glad you asked, Atlas. It's podcasting. Just so happens I have a very successful podcast that I can put you on. And we're looking for guests. So if you have a product or service that will help people, hit us up. Atlas Aultman Targeted Podcast. We bring new audiences to new people, and we bring new people to, well, you. Check us out.